Hello, Florida.
Hello, Chinese person.
Okay.
How are you?
Hello, good afternoon, Florida. What are you from? Hello. You are go from American?
No, I'm not American.
No.
Can you guess?
Can you guess? If you look, can you guess?
Hi,
Bye
thank
bye,
you.
Florida.
Okay, bye-bye, Chinese person. So one of the most refreshing things when I first got to China was the lack of political correctness. And why do I say that? Well, I come from South Africa, which is, at least probably at the moment, one of the most politically correct countries in the world. You know, due to its sort of crappy past and all the nonsense that went on there. You've got a situation where people have to really self-censor. You can't say anything. You can't ever say anything bad about a person, you know, without getting some kind of backlash. You can't, you know, mention that someone's lazy, for instance. You can't mention that someone's, I don't know, fat, tall, thin, whatever. You know, you just can't say anything without being called discriminatory and having everyone jump down your throat and possibly losing your job and all that kind of crap. So, you know, for me, political correctness is one of these sort of scourges of sort of modern society, one of these awful things that really sort of get in the way of people just being people. But, you know, that being said, having lived in China now for as long as I have, I now know that there is a certain place for at least a balance, a little bit of political correctness. So let me just jump into this and tell you guys why. So if you're planning to come and visit China, live in China, work in China, you know, there are a couple of things you have to know in order to stop yourself from being shocked. Because especially if you come from a developed country, you won't really be prepared for the directness people have over here. And although a lot of people come here and they just see friendly smiling faces and they think that, you know, everything's great and grand, it's only when you start to understand the language and understand what people are saying around you that you might actually become very quickly offended or disheartened. But I don't want you guys to feel that way. I'd like this video to try and explain to you, first of all, what people are saying, and second of all, you know, why they say these things. So let's just get down to what you can expect as a foreigner to hear when you come to China. Firstly, most Chinese people will expect that you as a foreigner cannot understand Chinese. And this is because, well, rightly so, Chinese is a very difficult language to learn. So most people that live here do believe that it's nigh impossible for a foreigner to actually learn the language. So they'll very blatantly just talk about you while you're standing there. And this has led to a lot of interesting situations where I've been in an elevator, for instance, with people talking about me, sometimes saying good things, sometimes saying bad things, and I understand it all, and you know, usually wait till the end when I walk out and I'll give them a comment to let them know that I understood what they were saying. It can be quite fun at times. Anyway, let's talk about those common things you'll hear. Number one, most common you will find as a foreigner walking around are children pointing at you and just bleating out foreigner, you know, but in Chinese. So I'm going to teach you some of these phrases so you know what's being said. The first one, of course, is 外国人, which you'll hear a lot, okay? Just means outside country person, all right? That's the number one. You'll also hear 老外, which means, you know, foreigner. In the Cantonese parts, you may hear 鬼佬, which means, you know, sort of foreign ghost. And of course, you can get some pretty bad ones like 洋鬼子, that's an insult. And, you know, 白皮猪, which they like to call me, but they'll never say that in public. They just do that on the forums here or on my comment section, in my comment section. How's it going? Okay, so a lot of pointing, little children pointing fingers saying foreigner. It happens to me all the time. And very often you'll actually hear them say, hey everyone, come look, here's a foreigner. And they'll actually go call their sort of family members or whatever to come out of the shop to come and see this strange looking creature here on the street. So that's the number one thing. Number two, just physical attributes. If you're a bit of a heavy guy, or you see, that's me being politically correct. If you're fat, they're going to say, hey, you're fat. So, you know, you'll be walking past. And I've been with overweight friends, you know, and I've heard them just shout out, wow, look, he's so fat, you know. Let's just get past this. Or, you know, you may hear, for instance, you might hear people say like, Hey guys, you might hear them say, wow, foreigners are so fat. For instance, I hear that a lot. You know, they'll say, you can't, why grow number pang, you know, that kind of thing. And that's kind of common. So physical attributes, not just fat, but if you're tall or if you're short, they'll just say, wow, number gao, or number ai, or, you know, number hey, if you're black, they'll just say, wow, he's so black. But they'll just bleat it out, like there's no filter. So as you walk in the streets, you may get people just randomly like, look, he's so fat. You know, look, he's so black. Look, he's so tall. Or, you know, if you're a woman, they'll even say, look, her breasts are so big. That's quite common. I've been with, you know, female expats walking around, and you'll actually get, you know, just random people commenting on the size of their breasts, which, you know, that would never fly overseas, but it seems fairly acceptable over here. What I do find rather boggling is the fact that, you know, people on the streets here seem to find the need to point things out, to say, wow, look at his big nose, or look, how's it going? Or say something like, hey, look, foreigners wear this kind of clothes, or hey, look, foreigners like to do this. It's a little weird that they just go randomly want to bleat that out in public. So yeah, be prepared for that. Now, why I say this is refreshing is, you know, when I was still living in South Africa, and of course visiting other countries like England, America, etc., you know, people are just too nice, right? They sugarcoat things too much. So for instance, you might be gaining weight without knowing it. It's happened to me a couple of times in my past because I go up and down, I get fat, I get thin all the time. And you're kind of not noticing, and everybody's just like, hey, you're looking healthy, you know, you're looking fine. And nobody actually says, hey mate, listen, you're getting fat, stop eating so much. You know, whereas here in China, they will say to you, hey, you're way fatter than the last time I saw you. Or, wow, look, you're getting fat, you know, that kind of thing. So it's kind of refreshing in that aspect. And in another aspect, it is nice not to have to self-censor yourself. You know, in a country where people don't ask you where you're from, which I think is polite, by the way. If you want to ask somebody where they're from, it's better than just bleating it out. They'll tell you where you're from. They'll say, oh, you're Russian, right? Or, oh, you're American, right? Or, see, that lady was saying, oh, look, he's watching TV. I'm not, I'm looking at my camera. See, now she said, oh, he's a foreigner. Anyway, whatever. This is what I'm talking about. It's people just bleat stuff out because they think you don't know what they're saying. Now, far be it from me to make excuses for people's bad behavior, but you also have to try and understand why people are this way. They're very inquisitive. They've been blocked off from the rest of the world for so long. You know, China only opened up sort of 30 years ago. And you still have to understand that the vast majority of people, especially in the rural areas, actually haven't ever seen a foreigner, you know, face to face. Sure, they've seen them on TVs, in the movies, you know, that kind of thing. But in general, they've never seen a foreigner before. And so it's something new and different. It's almost like literally an alien landing in your backyard. You're curious, right? You want to know, you know, you want to know what's going on. You want to know what they're on about. And of course, the only opinion people have of foreigners is what they've been fed by, you know, the sort of state media here. They've never had an opportunity to kind of make up their own mind or to understand what foreigners are and how they are and how they behave. So all of a sudden they see this foreigner in front of them and they're like, wow, look, a foreigner. It basically just is a lack of exposure. I guess it's kind of like if you've never eaten chocolate before in your life and you suddenly take a bite out of chocolate, you'll be like, wow, that's so sweet. Or if it's dark chocolate, that's so bitter, you know what I mean? Stupid analogy, but that's my reasoning behind it. So if you do come to China, I know it can be incredibly annoying, especially since you'll hear the same thing said over and over and over again. But try not to be too offended and try to understand it's just because they've been blocked off from the rest of the world for so long. That's why they behave in this manner. And yes, it can be incredibly rude and upsetting to, you know, somebody from a developed country. But if you've got a bit of a thick skin and you can look past this, you know, kind of rude behavior, you know, the stares, the pointing, the shouting, if you look past that, you can actually see that, you know, everybody's harmless. They're just curious, inquisitive. There's no real malice, unless of course it's an evil uncle, then there really is malice. You know, those buggers, they'll follow you and they'll try to report you to the local authorities just because you're a foreigner. But except for the evil uncles, everyone else, perfect, awesome. So I hope this has helped you guys understand China just a little bit more, and can't wait to see you all in the next video. So until next time, you know the drill. Unlike evil uncles, stay awesome. Sure, awesome! Very cool. How cool.